funny you bring up Aaron Jones because I'll sometimes I'll throw together a couple different running backs to go over 60 yards or whatever is a decent line and parlay them together, right?
Right.
He was the only one that didn't go over 60.
Of
So
course.
in my brain, the way I think of things is I'm not touching him for another week or
He's
two.
done. He's on the no bet list.
Yeah. But that's funny that you bring it up right away. The differences of like these are the trends. This is what it's telling me. He's going to be eyeing up a really good game against this a good Chicago Bears defense too.
Right.
It's funny how right off the bat that's where we're going with this because
You wonder what happened in sports today. Brandon Petrilli, he got the wave. We talking a lot with bros today. Cracking some jokes the podcast way. Goals on goals. With homers on homers. Tutties on tutties. Got moments on moments. Just tune into BSP. Just tune into BSP. Just tune into BSP. Just tune into Petrilli.
what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on BSP Media here. We're at a little bit of a different one today. If you can look to, I don't know what side he's going to be on that post editing here, but we got our man, Nick McClay. I've known this guy for a super long time, and it's super cool that I've just been reconnecting with him on social media and stuff, seeing that the man is getting into the game. He's getting into the radio. He's getting into sports betting, just like what we're trying to do here. We're both up and coming. We're both trying to grind. Nick, how we doing, my man?
Yeah,
I was really good to see that you've been out churning out content too.
absolutely, man. It's been fun. I mean, it's a grind. It's fun. I mean, it's sports, so it doesn't really feel like it's work at all. We're just diving into some numbers here, watching sports, talking about it. I mean, you can't really beat it.
Yeah. And it's funny. Nick and I were talking for a couple minutes before we hopped on, and his regular day-to-day job, he's pushing numbers, and then at night he's pushing numbers too.
It's just
So
spreadsheets.
spreadsheets, and that's kind of what I want to get into a little bit here. But what shows are you working for Fox the Gambler?
So Fox the Gambler, we do Mondays. I do the All Pro Philly show. It's pretty fun. We got a guest every single week. We've had Cindy Brown on. We've had Fred Johnson on. We've had Jalen's Hunt on. We've had a lot of good characters on there, and they're all great guys. And then after that, we do the Blind Side show with Trey Thomas and Todd Herremans, and those two are great. They work so well together. And they've been in it. They know what they're talking about. So hearing it from a perspective of people that are in the locker room, it's cool to see.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted to have you on here, right? We get to see talking to players, talk to different, sideline people, people that cover teams, and I'm kind of interested the way on the gambling side of it here, where I'll give you a little bit of the way I think about gambling, but I feel like seeing some of your content, you kind of look at things a little bit of a different way that I don't. So that's kind of why I want to have you on and kind of talk to you about it. So when you're sitting down getting ready for a weekend slate of college and NFL football. What are we first doing when we sit down?
So I like to look at some trends, and like to look at like the previous like two or three games, see how defenses are playing. I'm a big over better. I don't really like to bet unders. I mean, I know that's probably,
I'm 100% with you.
some people can have a different opinion on that, but I just don't like rooting against something. So I like to see like if a running back, has been popping off for the last 3 weeks, they're going up against a weak defense. What's their line at? What's the game script supposed to look like? So I like to look at like the trends of the previous games, and stuff like that. See how many times say like in upcoming. I'll dish out a prop right now. I like Aaron Jones over 59.5 yards. I mean, Chicago has allowed 8 different running backs to go over that line. They allow the eighth most rushing yards at 130 a game. Jones has hit this in 6 of 10 games. So I like just to look at like some trends like that. And they sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't,
Yeah, of
but I like
course.
to go with the numbers there.
Of course, responsibly. And it's funny you bring up Aaron Jones because I'll throw together a couple different running backs to go over 60 yards or whatever is a decent line and parlay them together, right?
Right.
He was the only one that didn't go over 60.
Of
So
course.
in my brain, the way I think of things is I'm not touching him for another week or
He's
two.
done. He's on the no bet list.
Yeah. But that's funny that you bring it up right away. the differences of like these are the trends. This is what it's telling me. He's going to be eyeing up a really good game against this a good Chicago Bears defense too
Right.
for a little bit, but they are pretty good against the run also. So it's funny how right off the bat that's where we're going with this because yeah, the way I kind of look at things is what has it done for me lately?
Hmm.
What's the eye test for me? Just strictly watching the game and the feel for it. And then what are the matchups going into the week? So we're kind of there a little bit on the matchups. You're kind of
Hmm.
looking more of a longevity standpoint where I'm kind of holding a grudge towards different
Right.
things like that. But you're able, I guess, to look past that and just strictly what's going on. These are what the numbers are telling me. This is the way that we should be going.
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side of this, I like so the Cortland Sutton, I've been hammering whatever his line is the past couple weeks, and it's been it's just hitting every single week. So on the flip side of your Aaron Jones, I'm betting whatever Cortland Sutton is, I'm just taking it just because he's the number one target there in Denver. Bo
Hmm.
Nix loves him, and Sutton's proven to be. I mean, the past couple of years, I know he got hurt a couple times, but he's a reliable target. He's a big body, and they love to throw the ball. So. He's someone that I always look at too.
Yeah, that Broncos team is definitely a side of it where they've really starting to come into their own. Bo Nix is kind of figuring it out a little bit, able to move the ball around. Even with some of their running backs going down, they've still been able to move the football pretty efficiently there. So it's interesting to see. Are you strictly going player props from what I've been seeing, or do you
Oh yeah,
go?
that's pretty much what I do. I mean, I do bet some straight lines and stuff like that for
Mhm.
games and over unders, but I don't really dish them out. I mainly just do the player props. I just like zoning in on a player I like and hopefully
Yeah.
he does well, you know what I mean?
No, no, for sure. No, it's definitely better that way. I feel like sometimes where, I'll do the combine a couple different running backs or
Right.
receiving yards,
Right.
and you're not really rooting for outcomes. You're just like, it's like fantasy football in a little
Yeah,
bit. You're
exactly.
you're creating like a, daily fantasy team, but with parlay or something like that. So yeah, it's interesting because I was looking at it. I'm gonna after this we're done recording here. I'm gonna hop on and do Cold One Conversations with my buddy Harry Heaps, where we do, all NFL, and then we give our picks out for the week, and we mostly do lines and spreads. And then we'll do like a touchdown parlay at the end. So I was just kind of looking at a little bit, a lot of big spreads this week.
Oh, I
Like
know.
it was all 10, 7 point,
Hmm.
7.5, 10.5. I'm just like, the one thing I kind of look at there is that's a lot of points, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, shouldn't you feel more confident that that team should beat down that other team? No?
Right. I mean, not to cut you off, but look at the Lions last week. They were
Yeah.
14-point favorites and they just dust out the Jaguars. Like
Yeah.
you look at that to start and you see 14 points. That's a lot in an NFL game, and they just blew them out of the water.
Yeah. So like that's kind of where you get caught and you overthink yourself a little too much. You're like, too many points, too many. No. Sometimes you just gotta be like, this team is good. They
Right.
should beat down that team. I did that
Hmm.
against the Eagles against Dallas the other week where they were 7 point
Yeah.
favorites and everybody at work's just like, a lot of points. No. No, you take care of business, you end Dallas's season, and that's exactly what's happened there. So I'm pretty happy with the way that's going there. And let's kind of transition into that how we're feeling about these birds, Nick. You know,
Uh, I mean, the past couple weeks have been awesome. Obviously, since the bye week, they're 6-0. I think they're only allowing what was it? I think less than 14 points per game. For the full season, they have a top 10 scoring offense, scoring like 26 a game. I mean, they look like they're getting hot at the right moment. And I know the start of the season was a little scary with all this Sirianni talk, all the injuries and stuff like that, but we're really starting to come together. Vic Fangio is really getting that defense set every single week, and it's really fun to watch.
yeah, and I'm super excited. Looking at the outlook at the beginning of the season was you had a lot of talent, young talent that needed to figure it out and put it together. And you brought in the right coach, obviously, at this point where it took a couple weeks for them to figure it out, but you needed a grown man to come in there, a guy that's been in the NFL for a couple decades now to really show these guys how to be professionals and how to be true NFL players and get the most out of that talent. And that's exactly what's happened. And it's so much fun to watch. I titled my last video is just, can we talk about that Eagles defense? Because that's just how exciting it is to watch this team right now, where every caller I get is, Why don't we run the ball? Why don't we blitz more? What's up with the defense? Why don't we have a dominant defense? Well, guess what, everybody? This Philadelphia Eagles team is what everybody wants from the 1980s and on, right?
Yep.
This is the Buddy Ryan teams a little bit of that hard nose. We run the football down your throat with Saquon Barkley, and we get after the quarterback and we lock you down on the outside. So I'm ready to get excited about this team again, where I wasn't at the beginning of the year, where I was saying I'm never going to get excited about this team again. We're getting pretty close to being there. How
Oh
do
yeah.
we feel about this game against the Rams Sunday night? Because it is a little tough. I was looking at some of the numbers because I knew I was going to have you. I think it was out of their last three, they're 3-0 with Sirianni out in LA,
Yeah, I
I
know
believe.
last year we went to town, and last year I saw a clip on Twitter that it was I forgot about it up until that point. It was like a home game for Philly.
Yeah.
We took over that crowd.
Yep, exactly. There's a lot of people I know going out there already today. Shout out to boy Nady and Malik and everybody Philly Sports Trips heading out there. But yeah, that's definitely an atmosphere that they can kind of go, and it really hasn't felt like too much. The travel, of course, and everything, but Sirianni's numbers going out there has been pretty good for this season. It kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't know why that it was the Sunday night game. I don't know if it was just a little bit of these games rolling being 1 o'clock starts and the Thursday night, but this one kind of snuck up on me. And I feel like it's sneaking up on a lot of people in the city too. How do you feel about the game, Nick? Is there anything you like trend wise for this team, or what are we thinking?
I mean, I'm looking at it now on DraftKings. It was three. I see it at 2.5 now. I mean, I'm liking that to win by field goal for us. I think the momentum that we've had. I know it's scary going into LA, going play facing a coach in McVay with those two receivers in the Nakua Cup. It's going to be hard to stop them. But I mean, Mitchell has shown that he is one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, let alone out of the rookie class. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty confident in that, and it's gonna be hard for Cooper DeJean to cover the slot with Cooper Cup. I don't know how Cooper on Cooper is gonna go, but I kind of do think Cup may get his, but I think we as a team should be able to take care of this team.
Yeah, and even outside of the rookies, I mean, Isaiah Rodgers has been able to do
Right.
okay when he stepped in. Keely Ringo, I mean, and then Darius Slay. I mean, he's been banged up and stuff. I didn't see the injury report today, but I think he wasn't on it. So, but I know he's been in and out of the games the last couple weeks. But I mean, that guy is still a top notch cornerback too. So, I like their chances going into this game, and I kind of even like it even more that it's at night for
Yeah.
another primetime game. Hopefully, they just keep on rolling, keep on running the football because you got the Rams, then you go to Baltimore, two
Hmm.
really big physical back-to-back games, and I think you're catching them at the right time, both of these teams, honestly. Where the Rams have been kind of making their way, they were starting to get back. They've had a little bit of a setback, and then the Ravens. Harry and I are going to have to talk about the Ravens after this, where we got to do some soul searching or something because that team got out physicaled by the Steelers. That the Eagles will play in 4 weeks from now after you play the Panthers, but it's going to be interesting to where you're catching these teams where the Eagles are right now playing hard nosed physical football. I like their chances moving into these next couple weeks here, and I don't want to get too excited, Nick, is the problem. This is
I
the
hear
other
you.
thing,
I hear
right?
you. As a Philly
Like
fan, it's hard.
it's like when you get too excited, that's when it comes crashing
Yep.
down and people point the
Yep.
finger like you idiot. I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. I am, but we're feeling pretty good. We're feeling
We
pretty
are.
good.
We are.
And
And
I
I'm
appreciate
gonna shout out my guy Mark Henry over at Fox the Gambler. He always bet. He says the best bet in football or in sports is a Jalen Hurts touchdown. It's been
yeah,
plus money the last couple weeks. Don't know why. I think he's top five, maybe even top three in rushing
yeah,
touchdowns right now.
uh-huh.
Right now, I'm looking at it. It's minus 135. They finally caught on,
Yeah,
but I still like in for the Philadelphia system. If you're within the two, you're getting a tush push. And somehow, some reason, I feel like we get in that position every single game.
every
So
single
even if
time.
you take it, if it loses, so be it. But I think that's a look at that you can't not take.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it a lot. What do we think of the receivers a little bit? They've been kind of getting lost in the shuffle the last couple
Yeah, you're
weeks.
right. I
Whether
know.
AJ's and Smitty are banged up a little, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
how do
even
we feel
seeing
there?
Smitty on the line right now. I know he didn't
He
practice
had
at
a
all this
hammy.
week.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
And honestly, he hasn't really produced. I know the game script kind of, I mean, not last week, but the last couple weeks hasn't really fallen into throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Smitty hasn't really produced as to what we really want him to. I'm looking at AJ Brown. He's at 75.5 receiving yards. I don't mind that. I think he could get that. But um, other than that, I'm not really too confident in taking any of the receivers. Like Goddard. Goddard's not even listed. You know, I wouldn't even know where to lean with him. But I think 75 for AJ Brown could be a look.
Yeah. Do you do futures and stuff like that too?
Yeah, I do. I have a
Yeah.
couple going on. I do have well, for the player props, I have a Lamb McConkey one over 750, I think it was, and I'm pretty confident or pretty happy that I took it. I
Yeah.
did the Jamison Williams one. I will say as good as those two look, I did take a Zamir White future too.
Yeah.
For his
What
that
happened there? That
just
was crazy, that
that
whole
went
situation.
at least that one I knew was going to be done like by week 3. I knew that
Yeah.
there was no shot so that one's bad. But other than that, I hate to say it here, but I do have a Lions future at plus 1,000 to win it all.
Yeah.
So I'm hanging
They're
on to
looking
that.
good.
Other
Are they
than
giving you a cash out at all for that?
no, they're
No.
not. They don't
Yeah.
they don't want,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't want to make me many money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's interesting because it is the future stuff. I feel like kind of gets overshadowed because people want that instant weekday
Right, right.
gratification, but there's a lot of value out there. If you're digging into it, you're feeling you got a good feel about something beginning of the season. It's definitely something that you can see, and even now after you've seen 10 weeks of football, that
Hmm.
there's still plenty of teams. The Chargers are looking pretty good,
Right.
that a team that you maybe be able to see go for a little bit of run. I don't know if they can win it, but the value's there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Uh, so yeah, man, I appreciate you hopping on. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but
Absolutely, man.
nice to
Anytime.
pick your brain, chat, catch up a little bit with you. Maybe
Oh
do
yeah.
some more stuff coming up in the future here as we move throughout the football season. But we're just back on the grind. We're gonna keep on doing it. Make sure everybody go follow Nick McClay 22 on Twitter. So make sure everybody go give him a follow. He's always putting out his player props and stuff on there. So I know I've been trailing him a little bit the last couple weeks for sure. So we're here, we're having fun. We're trying to make everybody and all of us a little extra cash responsibly, of course, but appreciate you, Nick.
Thanks for having me on, man. This is a lot of fun. Whenever you guys need me, I'm welcome to come on. Yeah, follow me on Twitter, Nick McClay 22. You can follow Fox the Gambler over on Twitter at that handle. Yeah, we're dishing out a lot of content lately. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of good season so far. Hopefully, the Birds can keep it going.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Nick. Thanks everybody out there for tuning in. Make sure we're subscribing to the channel. I'm going out to Notre Dame USC. I know, Nick, we didn't even get into college really too much. Maybe we'll have to do
Yep.
that. He's been going on some big trips lately. I'm going out Notre Dame USC for Thanksgiving weekend. So make sure you stay tuned for that stuff coming up on the channel for sure. But shout out to 215 and go Birds, baby. We're feeling pretty good about the Birds. All right. Feeling good.